Hello, and welcome to the Trudy Haynes with Friends program. And we're so happy to be able to join you today and to bring you messages that are extremely important. I have two of my favorite guests with me today, Miss Kathy Lee, educator and historian, and Mr. Jerome Roberts, educator and historian, and a very special honored guest, Senate State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, who is with us today. And, sir, we're so happy to welcome you. This is an honor. I'm excited about it, really, to have you to join us, to take time out of your busy day to be with us. And you're welcome.
Well, Miss Haynes, listen, the honor is all mine. And if you get a call from Trudy Haynes, you answer and you make time to be there. And so it's the honor is all mine. And excited to talk to you today because you're right. This election is so important.
It is definitely important. All day, all week, all time now is sort of accumulated in this one day that's so important to us this year. And I know that you've been working feverishly to make people to understand, or to get people to understand how important it is and why it's important. Go for it.
Yes, ma'am. And I think, when we think about where we are right now, I always think about what President Trump said here in Philadelphia. I guess it was almost 4 years ago at this point, where he asked the Black community in particular, he asked us, what do we have to lose? And now we really do have an answer to that question. Just here in Pennsylvania, we've had 8,718 individuals lose their lives to this pandemic. And these aren't just numbers. These are 8,718 folks who won't be across from a Thanksgiving table, who aren't sitting on the couch next to the person who loves them best, and whose family is reeling and not even in many cases able to grieve because we're having to do funerals over Zoom. And so COVID and the really inability of this administration to respond, I think, is first and foremost in many people's minds. Because this has been a disease that has disproportionately impacted Black people in particular, brown folks more broadly. And we know that, unfortunately, what this has done has made more pronounced the issues and the inequity that have existed in our communities for a long time. We understand that a lot of kids are home right now.
So
Yep.
many things have been put in store for us to make
Yes.
this an important time.
Yes.
But you have stressed so many of the things that we haven't done and why today or this election is so important. What's the difference between this one and those before?
I think the major difference is that we have someone right now in the White House who doesn't believe in our democracy. As much as he talks about law and order, the current president has committed many crimes and our economy and so many lives have been lost. I can't think of another moment where we've lost over 250,000 people because of the inaction of our president. And there are more who are going to be lost. Here in Pennsylvania, we've seen the highest case count yesterday that we've ever had since the beginning of this pandemic. I mean, just think about that, Ms. Trudy. We've had the highest case count now since this entire pandemic began yesterday. And the president still isn't getting relief to people. He's still dilly-dallying as it relates to masks and social distancing. And it's putting people at risk. And so I think that is really what is different. We've always had elections where there are folks who have difference of opinions on issues, but he doesn't believe in basic facts.
And we're getting so much help. First of all, I can't remember, and I may be wrong about this, but have we had this much time in advance to vote?
Well, certainly not in Pennsylvania. And that is one of the things that is exciting, that as of today, and it'll be higher probably by the time you finish your broadcast here. But last night I saw that 72 million Americans have already voted early. I mean, Hillary Clinton, who, got more votes than Donald Trump last time, as we all remember, she got about 65 million votes. And so we have 72 million people that have already cast their vote and made their voices heard. And I think that that's incredibly exciting, that we have made it easier in some ways for people to vote. Obviously, a lot of challenges with that remain, but people are exercising their rights. And they're doing so because they understand that those very rights are at stake in this election. The Republican Party, unfortunately, wants less people to vote, not more. And so if we don't win this election, I think we're going to be in a really tough position.
Oh, we're going to be done for. I'm going to tell you that. It's been
That was,
too long,
a nice way of
and
putting
as you say, too many lives have been spent trying to get to this point. Now we've got it. We can't let it go. We can't give it away. We can't just say it doesn't happen. It's happening, and every one of us has the opportunity to say yes. And that's getting to that. It's not only preparing to vote, prepare to go and make sure that you do go.
Absolutely. And, I just want to say to you, thank you for using this platform that you've built over many years to get out this message to people, because they need to hear it from folks they trust. And they know. And I like to say to people all the time that as important as your program is and your guests, there are folks who are listening right now who have a couple of people in their cell phone, have a cousin, have a sibling, have a spouse who will only vote because they ask. And so I say to people, please don't forget the power you have to determine the results of this election, not only with casting your own ballot, but there are one or two people in your life, maybe even more than that, who look to you about the issues that matter and who are only going to cast that vote because you give them that nudge. And so I hope people who are watching, are thinking about those people in their lives who they need to reach out to and remind them of the importance of this election.
One of my friends with us today is Kathy Lee, and she's an educator, and she knows how important it is for the youth to get out as you do. Right, Kathy?
Absolutely. And I guess my question to Mr. Kenyatta is basically this. I have struggled trying to convince a lot of our folks to vote, whether it's jury duty or whatever excuses that they come up with. How can we make sure, now that we're voting in large numbers, that our votes are going to actually truly be counted? Because there is a systemic strategy across the whole GOP, and these elephants are trying to stomp all over democracy. They are truly afraid of democracy. Mm-hmm. So what can you say to people like 50 Cent who want to encourage our black men to vote for Donald Trump, and anyone that can call someone that looks like your mother a dog? I'm having an issue with that. And, it just seems like all rights are on the table. So what message can you give to other young people to do, and how can we support you? What can we do?
Well, in terms of 50 cents, I really have nothing to say to a multimillionaire who will not be impacted, regardless of who the president is. He's fine. He's in his mansion somewhere, but there are a lot of black and brown people who can't afford a mansion who are going to be impacted by the results of this election. And so I say two things quickly. The first is, I think we have to acknowledge the reason that a lot of people don't want to engage. I think it is fair to say that for many black and brown people, you look at the statistics, you pick an area, you look at the statistics, and they're worse for black people. And so the reality is the needs of the black community have not holistically been met. And so people saying, I don't want to participate in a system that I don't feel like is centering me is a natural human response. If somebody's not treating you right, you tend to want to not be a part of that. But here's the problem, what I like to say to young people who say to me, well, I don't do politics. I like to remind them that, well, politics does you. And so whether or not we show up, decisions are going to be made about our lives. And we have to do something that we've never done, right? If you look across all of our elections, even the high watermark in 2008, I think you had 60-something% of people vote in that election. President Obama, who I had a chance to speak with the other day when he was here in North Philly, said something that I absolutely love. He said, we've never tried having everybody vote and see what happens. We've never tried it. we've really never gotten that close, other than 2008, which was really ahistoric. We might get closer this election if we look at some of the electoral trends. But to the point that you made, and I think it's so important to underline, there are folks who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to keep young people and Black and brown people in general from voting. Why are they spending that money? Not because we don't matter. They're spending it because we do matter.
do.
Jerome Roberts is also one of our guests, and he's around young people a lot. Jerome, how do you feel about these young people getting involved? I'm excited.
You know, I like what you're saying, Mr. Kenyatta. Specifically, you know, it's more than just a race for the presidency of the United States. You have to go down the ticket 6 or 8 spots. You got state reps, you got state senators, you got U.S. senators, you got U.S. representatives, and those are the ones that oftentimes have more impactful at the community level than the president does. So by a young person abstaining from voting and saying, I'm not participating, you're right. His vote counts against him.
No, that's absolutely right. And I love that you say that, because I like to say to folks, every issue is not going to be solved in the Oval Office. In fact, most issues are dealt with and debated at the state level where I work. And if you're thinking about education, if you're thinking about gun safety, if you're thinking about what we need to do around poverty, which I'm like a broken record of saying that deep poverty is the moral and economic issue of our time right now. If you're thinking about the environment, you're thinking about criminal justice, right? Most
Police.
people who are incarcerated aren't incarcerated in federal prison, they're incarcerated in state facilities. And so if we're going to reform all of these multiplicity of areas that I've just outlined and so many others that we could spend an hour, just listing,
Right.
So many of those happen right in Harrisburg, here in Pennsylvania, or in other state capitals.
You know, one of the historical things that happened is when, during Reconstruction, when the Black man had the right to go out and vote, we had a Black elected governor, we had Black elected senators. And when the power of the vote was realized very quickly, they took it away, and they kept most of it away until 1965 with the Voting Rights Act. And now they're trying to diminish the impact of the Voting Rights Act. That's how important we have to explain to our young people.
I think it's also important that we can vote right now as we're talking. People can get out and vote. I think that's marvelous.
It absolutely is. And I think that really speaks to, all of the leaders on whose shoulders I stand. I'm one of the youngest members of the General Assembly, a young Black guy from North Philly. The fact that, I get to walk into the House as an elected representative is because of all the folks who fought and labored to have that right. And Ms. Trudy, you're exactly right. People can vote right now. 3 million ballots were requested by mail across Pennsylvania. Here in Philadelphia, right now, the last numbers I saw, about 65.4% of those people have returned their ballots. And so that means that we have about 35% of people in Philadelphia who have a ballot sitting on their kitchen table right now, or sitting on their living room table, that they can get into an early voting center right now. I think we're at a point where it's too late to mail your ballot.
Don't mail it.
Get in. Don't mail it.
Don't mail it.
There are 17 different voting centers across the city where you can turn it in right now as we're speaking.
Yes, I'm so excited about the fact that we still have an opportunity as we speak, and for everyone to go in there and do it. I don't know what to say. It's going to be such an impact to even know that you are part of this country. And Malcolm, you're a true Philadelphian, a true American. You were born and raised here in Philadelphia, and you've gone to school. What school was it?
I went to Temple, right in my district.
They are. So,
and I see Mayor Kenyatta soon. All right.
Oh my God! Please don't wish that on me.
Okay, governor. Oh, senator. Okay.
Yes. Well, you've been doing such a wonderful job for us. You're the leader to watch, the one that's now and coming up, and we're going to be with you all the way. I know you have.
Well, thank you, and I hope my only next title is return guest to the Trudy Haynes show.
Always.
Because it's always a pleasure.
You don't even have to be an invited guest. Just say I'm coming, and we'll pave the way for you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
being with us
God
today.
bless. Take care.
Thank you.
So, folks, we've done a good job today. We've had the best to tell you to get out there and use your power, to be counted, to be a part of the American and the democratic system. You have closing words to say, gang?
Well, I just want to encourage people again, especially the young people, get out and vote. And it's more than just the issue of who the president of the United States is. At the governor level in the state and at the state senator and the state rep level, those are the people who directly impact the money that you're getting for education, the money that you're getting for transportation. SEPTA is funded through state money. And this is oftentimes where bigger and larger impacts can be made just by showing up at the polls. So by you passing on the election, and I understand that sometimes the difference between a Kamala Harris and a Joe Biden and a Trump and Pence might not seem all that dramatic, but believe me, way down the ticket where you have a mayor or a senator or a state rep or a state senator, it's very impactful on your day-to-day existence. As was just spoken, more brothers and sisters are in state courts than in federal courts. And that's where the impact comes down on us greatly.
And speaking of the courts, Jerome, all you have to do is look at where this brand new Supreme Court justice came from. And actually, because we did not vote, because we find an excuse not to vote, it comes back and bites you really very hard on the rear end. And as a teacher, I shouldn't have to go out and buy supplies. They should be provided by the tax dollars. But we need to become more civically engaged as a people. And I understand what Malcolm was saying about a lot of us don't feel like we can make a difference, but our vote does matter. If it didn't matter, they would not be trying to
Right.
take it away from you so hard. You wouldn't let somebody walk in your house and walk out with your 48 or 69 or 80, 108-inch television that you just worked for. So why would you just throw your vote away? I mean, that's just throwing money away. It's throwing your life away. And I just have a hard time even. I'm with Malcolm with 50 Cent. Anytime you can't come up with a name or a dollar amount for yourself that's even more than 50 Cent, then you could at least, if that wealthy, call yourself $100 by now, or even $1. But I mean, 50 cents, and I can understand why he would want to vote for Trump. He's
and
wealthy.
I can't understand that you would want to be the one left out. Oh, I didn't vote. Even if you've taken your vote in, if you've passed it in by writing in, don't fail if you have not done that. And congratulations, by the way, to those who have. But don't be the one that says, oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't bother. Don't be that one. This is probably the most important day of your life.
Right.
Make it
Jerome,
that and make it there and be prepared when you go. We want to thank both of our guests and, of course, the state representative, Malcolm Kenyatta. I want to say Poindexter so badly because I think many of you remember Malcolm Poindexter, and he was an advocate for being a person in this citizenship, and he was an advocate and an activist. Malcolm Poindexter passed some time ago, but he was one of our leading politicians when we worked at KYW Channel 3.
And he voted.
And voted. He voted. So get out there and vote. We have the rain today. I can remember many days of voting when it was terrible weather. And people say, well, I'm not going out in that weather. We got the bad weather now, folks. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be good tomorrow. You can vote tomorrow. You can vote this afternoon when the rain stops. You can vote right on up to November 3rd. Okay? Don't let it pass you by.
You know, the last time we were together, Miss Trudy, we talked about Octavius Cato, who is the only African-American with a statue on the grounds of the City Hall of Philadelphia. And why was he assassinated? Because he was trying to register Black people to vote. That is important right here in the city of Philadelphia, where we're having issues with the police and the National Guard are coming in any hour now here in Philadelphia. You know, you don't vote When you don't vote and you don't participate in the system participates on you.
I like that, Jerome.
That's a good way to
I
end
do
it.
like that one.
Hey, gang, I guess this is our time to say goodbye and thank you for being with us. Don't let this pass by. This is your hour. This is your time. This is your say. Vote.
Vote.
Vote.